Everyone loves a good deal, and for decades, store-brand products, also called generics or private labels, have been marketed as the smarter, savvier alternative to name brands. Same quality, fewer frills, lower price. Or at least, that's the pitch. But what if that idea is just a very convenient illusion? What if the cheap cheese, cereal, or hand soap you've been throwing into your cart isn't actually the steal you thought it was? What if the cost savings come with hidden trade-offs, ones you wouldn't have accepted had you known the full story? Turns out, store-brand products often aren't the deal they're cracked up to be. From quietly inferior ingredients to rebranded factory rejects and misleading marketing tactics, many store-brand items cut corners in ways that cost you more than you save. And once you look past the price tag, the truth becomes hard to ignore. Let's start with the obvious. Most store-brand goods are manufactured by third parties. They aren't whipped up in the back of your local Walmart or Target. Instead, major retailers strike deals with contract manufacturers, sometimes even the same companies that make the name brand versions. But here's where things get murky. Just because the factory is the same doesn't mean the formula is. In fact, it often isn't. Many name brand companies intentionally produce separate, lower-spec versions for private labels. These store-brand formulas can use cheaper ingredients, substitute additives, or undergo less rigorous quality checks. The end product might look identical on the shelf, but behind the scenes you're buying the B-tier version, or worse, the leftovers. Take boxed macaroni and cheese. The name brand version might use real cheddar, while the store brand uses processed cheese flavoring. You'd have to squint at the ingredients list to spot it, and most consumers never do. They just trust the front-of-package promise. Compare to Kraft mac and cheese. But it's not just about flavor. Nutritional differences can be dramatic. Store-brand yogurts may sneak in more sugar and fewer active cultures. Cereals might be puffed with more air and less whole grain. Even supplements, like multivitamins or fish oil, often test lower for potency or purity when store-brand versions are independently analyzed. And that's assuming the product isn't outright faulty. Because here's the dirty secret retailers won't tell you: some store-brand products are literal factory seconds. We're talking about batches that didn't meet the quality threshold for the name brand. Slightly off flavor, imperfect texture, mislabeling, or inconsistent sizing. Instead of tossing them, manufacturers repackage the rejects under a store brand label and sell them at a discount. It's a win-win for the supplier and the store. The supplier avoids losses from scrapped goods. The retailer gets a cheaper product to draw in price-sensitive shoppers. And the customer? Well, they unknowingly foot the bill for compromised quality. Of course, not every store-brand item is a reject. Some are perfectly decent, but that's part of the game. The unpredictability is what makes it dangerous, because unless you're keeping a spreadsheet of which generics are reliable and which aren't, you're gambling with every purchase. Even items as basic as cleaning products can vary wildly. You might assume that store-brand bleach is just as good. It's bleach, right? Not quite. Tests have shown that concentrations of sodium hypochlorite, the active ingredient in bleach, can be significantly lower in store-brand bottles. That means less effective disinfecting, slower stain removal, and more wasted time scrubbing. You saved 50 cents, but you used twice as much. That's not a bargain. That's a trick. And the deception doesn't stop there. Many stores use marketing mimicry to nudge you toward their brands. Ever notice how store-brand packaging often looks eerily similar to the name brand? Same color scheme, same layout, sometimes even the same fonts. That's no accident. It's a psychological tactic called trade dress imitation, designed to trick your brain into associating the generic with the trusted original, even if it's inferior. The message is subtle but powerful. Hey, this is basically the same thing, just cheaper. But when was the last time you saw a store-brand version win a blind taste test? When was the last time someone preferred the off-brand soda, or peanut butter, or frozen pizza? It happens, but not often, and not consistently, which is why the better way to think about store brands isn't cheaper version of the same thing, but totally different product with similar packaging. Then there's the issue of shelf space. Retailers control what goes where, and they give prime real estate to their own brands, at eye level, at the ends of aisles, with attention-grabbing signage. Meanwhile, the name brands get demoted, crowded out, or quietly pushed to the bottom row. The result? You're more likely to grab the store brand item, not because you compared prices and made an informed decision, but because it was right there. And speaking of price, are you really saving as much as you think? Retailers have quietly closed the price gap between generics and name brands. Over the past decade, many have raised prices on store brand goods while keeping the illusion of a bargain. A $2.99 bottle of name brand ketchup next to a $2.59 store brand? That's barely a difference until you realize the store brand one also has more water and less tomato paste. But here's where it gets even more twisted. In some cases, the name brand is cheaper. It happens more than you think, especially during promotions, discounts, or coupons. But customers trained to trust generics as the default don't even check. They just assume, and that assumption costs them. Store loyalty programs and digital coupons make this even murkier. Some stores only offer discounts on their in-house brands. Others remove price per unit info from shelf labels to make comparisons harder. It's not about helping you save. It's about nudging you to buy what they want you to buy. And if you think food is the only place where this bait and switch happens, think again. Store brand batteries? Often lower capacity and shorter shelf life. Store brand clothing basics? Prone to faster wear and looser stitching. Store brand electronics accessories? Higher failure rates and weaker warranties. And forget about customer support. Many store brand goods are no name for a reason. There's no website, no helpline, and no accountability if something breaks. In fact, in categories where performance and longevity matter, like skincare, baby products, or pet food, going generic can be downright risky. Store brand moisturizers might use more fillers and less active ingredients. Store brand baby formula, while FDA regulated, can have different fat and protein blends that don't sit well with every child. Store brand pet food, lower grade meat, cheaper fillers, and more recalls. Sure, you could save a few dollars, or you could end up with a fussy baby, a sick dog, or irritated skin, and no one to complain to but the return counter. To be clear, not every store brand item is a scam. Some are excellent value. Some are even made in the same factory with the same ingredients. But the lack of transparency is the real issue. You don't know what you're getting. You're rolling the dice. And that's not a bargain, that's a gamble. The reason store brand products feel like a deal is because we've been trained to believe they are. It's a story that plays to our desire to outsmart the system, to beat inflation, to be clever consumers. But when you start peeling back the layers, that story gets harder to swallow. Because while the label says you're saving money, the truth might be that you're paying more for less. Less quality, less durability, less consistency, less satisfaction. And maybe that's the real lesson. In a world of marketing tricks and cost-cutting formulas, the best way to save money isn't to blindly trust a low price. It's to know what you're buying, read the ingredients, compare unit prices, check for reviews, pay attention to texture, taste, and performance. And remember, cheap doesn't always mean smart. Sometimes it just means cheap. So next time you're standing in the aisle, staring at two similar-looking boxes, one with a big logo and one with a store brand, don't just grab the cheaper one and call it a win. Ask yourself, why is it cheaper? Because if the answer is, it's just as good, you better hope that's true. Because for all the savings promised, store brand products aren't always what they seem, and that 50 cents you saved might have cost you a whole lot more than you think.